Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intertax Learning's Career Anatomy. This is where we break down newly posted international tax roles, what the job entails, what qualifications they're looking for, and what the compensation looks like. Today, we're looking at Adobe's Senior International Tax Manager job posting. I'm sure everyone is familiar with Adobe or has used one of its products. Almost all of Adobe's revenues come from subscriptions in applications. It is truly an IP company. Although Adobe is not one of the hottest public companies gaining momentum, from a tax perspective, its global footprint is truly impressive. If you look at Adobe's corporate structure, you see how many legal entities are there around the world. 5 in Americas, 14 in Europe, 6 in Asia and Eurasia, 1 in Africa, 2 in the Middle East, and 2 in Oceania. That just shows how much of Adobe's revenue is dependent on the international market. Roughly 40% of Adobe's revenue comes from outside of the Americas region, with EMEA alone contributing 26% and Asia about 14% in recent quarters. Moving on to the job posting. Adobe is looking for a senior international tax manager. If you search for people on LinkedIn with the same title, there are at least 3 other people worldwide. The way I see it is they're probably each responsible for one or few areas of Adobe's global landscape, responding to their local tax authorities and sharing the rest of the tax responsibilities. Adobe likely has a big tax team. Let's now look at what the job entails. Responsibilities are categorized into 6 areas: compliance, modeling, provision, planning and controversy, and governance. They have one special responsibility called Tax Lead for Canada. It is likely that this is a regional responsibility that each tax manager has on the plate. It makes sense. Canada Revenue Agency is very difficult to deal with, and that Canada alone probably represents the largest portion of the revenue outside of the US. Now, I wanted to shed light back to the other responsibilities. You can see how detailed these descriptions are. This is definitely not something primarily written by AI. What I can see is that Adobe has been a large company with a global footprint for many, many years, and this tax senior manager function is very well developed. The company knows exactly what's needed for this position. There isn't a lot of figuring out the function by yourself. Personally, I really like Adobe's job description. Looking at preferred qualifications, you do see the usuals, guilty and subpart F. On top of that, it looks like this role requires a lot of experience in tax modeling. They also highlighted transfer pricing and Pillar 2. After looking at numerous job postings for international tax, Pillar 2 is definitely a hot topic. If you are preparing for your next interview, even if the job description doesn't ask for Pillar 2, it would still be great to know a thing or two about it at least. Since we're talking about Pillar 2, I wanted to present an interesting fact. In Adobe's 2024 annual statement, it stated that Adobe expects the OECD 15% global minimum tax to have no material impact in 2025. This is a reminder of what the stockholders truly care about. They don't care about the rules, but what is the impact to a company's profit? Also, it's worth mentioning that Adobe likes to see someone who's open to AI and process improvement. Last but not least, there are 2 compensation ranges based on locations, but both caps at $254K. I would say the medium of the range is around industry average. Of course, for a public company, a year-end bonus should be part of the comp package. I'm placing Adobe's stock performance in the recent 5 years so you have an idea of how it performed. Alright, that's it for this video. Be sure to subscribe because I'll be posting career anatomies every other week on top of the international tax videos. See you in the next one.